Morning slowly descends on the Idaho mountain air, drifting past towering pines and the wide, quiet expanse that now holds Demi Moore's gentlest chapter. Here, life settles into softer rhythms, unhurried walks in the crisp air, small moments with family, and a peace built far from Hollywood's constant pull. This place isn't shaped by fame, but by healing, grounding, and the rare freedom to breathe without being seen. Step inside this mountain estate where Demi Moore has learned to live quietly, fully, and entirely on her own terms. Long before this calm, her world looked very different. Born Demi Jean Gines in Roswell, New Mexico in 1962, she grew up in a life defined not by stillness, but by motion. Her biological father left before she knew him, and the man she came to call Dad, Dan Gines, carried the family through constant moves and unstable jobs. By 15, when she arrived in West Hollywood, Demi had already learned how to adapt, how to observe, and how to survive. School never felt like her path. She left at 16, stepped out on her own, and signed with elite modeling agency while quietly studying drama on the side. Acting didn't arrive as a dream, it arrived as work, a way to build a life not shaped by instability. Her first roles in Choices, 1981, and Parasite, 1982, were small, but they gave her a foothold. Then came General Hospital, where she played an investigative reporter and began to understand what it felt like to inhabit another life on screen. Momentum grew through comedies like Blame It on Rio and No Small Affair, but 1985 changed everything. St. Elmo's Fire introduced her to the world as part of the Brat Pack, a generation-defining ensemble. Through the late 80s, about Last Night, The Seventh Sign, Wisdom, she kept climbing, learning, adjusting, working. Nothing came instantly. It came from showing up. Then Ghost arrived in 1990 and lifted her into another orbit. The film earned over $505 million and turned Demi Moore into a global name, a performer who could carry tenderness and strength in the same breath. The early 90s became her peak. A Few Good Men, Indecent Proposal, Disclosure. Even the quieter films around them felt like steps in a long ascent. But the mid-1990s tested her resolve. She became the highest-paid actress in Hollywood with Striptease, 1996. Yet the film faltered, drawing harsh criticism. The Scarlet Letter and The Juror suffered the same fate. Still, she found moments of light. Voice acting in Disney's The Hunchback of Notre Dame, a Golden Globe nomination for producing and starring in HBO's If These Walls Could Talk, and the controlled intensity of G.I. Jane 1997. Her career never moved in one direction. It shifted, folded, and restarted like someone learning how to breathe again. In the early 2000s, she stepped back from the spotlight to raise her daughters in Idaho. Her roles in Passion of Mind, Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle, Bobby, and Flawless arrived quietly, chosen with intention rather than urgency. After 2010, she returned with a steadier rhythm. Films like Margin Call, Another Happy Day, Blind, Corporate Animals, and projects across television, from Empire to Brave New World. She directed a segment of the anthology 5, earning a DGA nomination, and in 2019, her memoir Inside Out debuted at #1 on the New York Times bestseller list, opening her life with a clarity she had never offered before. And then came the late career renaissance. In 2024, she stunned audiences as Anne Woodward in Feud, Capote vs. the Swans, followed by a daring turn in The Substance, a performance that won her the Golden Globe for Best Actress in January 2025. More than 4 decades after her debut, Demi Moore had reclaimed the spotlight not by chasing it, but by outlasting everything that once tried to dim it. Her career reads like a series of reinventions, each chapter shaped by resilience, risk, and the quiet belief that she could always rise again. It's that steady endurance that leads into the spaces she chooses today, the kind of home where a life built on movement finally learns to rest. And that winding journey would eventually lead her to the Idaho mountains, where she built a quiet estate far from Hollywood's noise. Estate in Idaho mountain. The road into Haley narrows gently as it approaches her land, the noise thinning until only the river can be heard moving beside the trees. On this 10.5-acre stretch of Idaho, the kind of place where mountains feel close enough to lean on, Demi Moore has shaped a world that carries both the weight of history and the softness of renewal. The estate doesn't announce itself. It settles into the landscape, its timber beams and darkened stone blending into the pines as if they've stood together for generations. The house rises slowly from the earth, a rustic, country-chic lodge built from materials that still hold the scent of winter. Pine floors stretch through the main level like warm pathways, softened by light that pours through walls of glass. Every window feels intentional, placed to frame the curve of the river, the hush of snowfall, or the quiet distance of the mountains. The 1840-60s timber beams overhead give the rooms a sense of permanence, as though they have witnessed many lives before hers and know how to hold one gently. Inside, the rhythm of the home is calm and deliberate. The living spaces feel lived in, not staged. 4 stone fireplaces spreading their heat across soft rugs, the light flickering against reclaimed wood that carries its own stories. It's a house that breathes in long, steady intervals, and Demi moves through it with the ease of someone who has learned to appreciate stillness. When she shares glimpses on social media, dogs sprawled across blankets, family gathered near a fire, the rooms look exactly as they are, warm, familiar, protective. At the heart of the main floor sits the master suite, a sanctuary wrapped in pale colors and quiet textures. The room opens softly toward private views of the water, the kind of scene that shifts from gold to blue as the day unwinds. It's a space built for recovery, the kind of comfort that asks nothing more than to be lived in. Across the hall, the gourmet kitchen hums with a different warmth, wide counters, deep sinks, and a glow that spreads outward when sunlight catches the copper fixtures. This is where morning begins, unhurried, with the smell of coffee drifting through the timbered ceilings. Up a short flight of steps, the guest apartment rests like its own retreat. Spacious but simple, it gives friends and family a corner of the estate that feels separate yet connected. A place where conversations stretch late into the night without disturbing the quieter rooms below. Nearby, the custom wine cellar lies cool against the hillside, its stone and wood shelves holding both vintage bottles and memories from decades of gatherings. The estate opens even wider outdoors. Terraces look out over the river, where the water moves at a pace that slows everything around it. Paths wind through the pines toward small clearings where she meditates, reads, or simply stands still. The air here is different, cleaner, sharper, filled with a zen-like quiet that presses gently against the noise of the world she stepped away from. On warm evenings, the fireplaces inside echo the colors of the sunset, casting a soft glow through the windows, as if the house itself were breathing with the land. The 3-car garage sits tucked beneath a timber overhang, sturdy and unobtrusive, its wide doors opening to the hidden workspace of the estate. It feels less like parking and more like another layer of the property's practicality. Luxury expressed through ease rather than display. What makes this place extraordinary isn't any single feature, but the cohesion of them all. The reclaimed wood, the stone, the glass, the way every detail seems aligned with the mountains rather than competing with them. It is luxury, yes, but luxury softened by history and shaped by nature. More than a residence, it's a retreat, a rare blend of warmth, craftsmanship, and landscape that mirrors the life Demi Moore has built here. Grounded, intentional, and deeply at peace. Here, where riverlight drifts across old timber and silence settles like a familiar friend, the estate holds a steadiness that feels earned. It's a place where warmth replaces noise, where each day stretches just enough for someone to finally feel whole again. With an estate this vast and serene, wouldn't you be curious to see what her car collection looks like? So let's see. Car collection. First is the Cadillac Escalade, the SUV that has followed Demi through countless workdays and city arrivals. Finished in a deep black gloss, it moves through Los Angeles with the quiet weight of something built to protect rather than shine. With a current market value of about $90,000, the Escalade gives her the space and calm she needs when moving between shoots, events, and long travel days. Inside, the cabin stays dim and wide, soft beige leather and dark trim wrapping her in a kind of privacy that feels almost intentional. It's simply the car that carries her through busy seasons. Next comes the Lexus LS460, valued at around $50,000. This sedan belongs to a quieter phase of her routines. The days when she's heading to meetings, running errands, or slipping through Los Angeles without much urgency. The LS460 matches that rhythm. Soft handling, warm interiors, and a sense of privacy that mirrors the way she prefers to move. Even now, it feels like a reminder of her more grounded, everyday moments. Then there's the Mercedes-AMG G63, a shift in tone entirely. With a market value near $160,000, the G-Wagon brings a different kind of presence. A 577 horsepower V8, a wide squared frame, and the heavy, unmistakable stance that has followed her through some of her busier years. It's strong, confident, and steady, the kind of car she steps out of with her hair catching the sunlight and a relaxed smile for the people around her. The G63 fits the chapters of her life that needed more edge, more protection, even when she wasn't trying to make a statement. The Toyota Prius is a different story. Priced around $28,000, it's the car she uses for the simplest parts of her life, especially the afternoons when she and her daughter slip out for quiet shopping runs. The Prius keeps those moments easy, light steering, a soft hybrid hum, and none of the attention that follows her in bigger cars. The Audi A5 Coupe adds another layer, valued at about $45,000. Her A5, finished in a clean metallic silver, sits low to the ground with a quiet confidence that mirrors the way she moves through the city. Inside, the cabin feels close and composed. Black leather seats, a simple dash, and the soft hum of a car built more for calm than display. A car the one she takes when she wants to move quickly and quietly. The A5 suits those in-between hours when she needs a moment to herself. And finally, the Mercedes-Benz S-Class, priced near $110,000, offers the comfort and refinement she leans on during more formal days. Its calm cabin and effortless glide make it the ideal arrival car. Smooth, understated, and fitting for someone who has spent decades mastering how to enter and exit public spaces with ease. Each one carries a role, a rhythm, a small purpose. Together, they outline a woman who moves with quiet certainty, choosing what feels right rather than what demands attention. That's exactly what she's earned over the years. Curious how that translates into her current wealth? Let's find out. Income and net worth. A $200 million fortune doesn't arrive suddenly. It builds in layers, shaped by the choices Demi Moore made across 4 decades at the center of Hollywood. Story begins in the early 1990s, when she stepped into a rare category, an actress whose name alone could shift a studio's expectations. From Ghost to A Few Good Men to Indecent Proposal, her salaries rose with each role, and by the mid-1990s, she reached a historic peak, $12.5 million for striptease, a record for any actress at the time. 1 year later, $11 million for G.I. Jane confirmed that she wasn't just starring in films, she was reshaping the economics of women in Hollywood. Those numbers accumulated quickly. She earned $3 million for A Few Good Men, $5 million for Indecent Proposal, $6 million for Disclosure, $7 million each for The Scarlet Letter and The Juror. By the time the decade ended, Demi had collected nearly $60 million in base salaries, worth close to $100 million today. Behind the scenes, she earned even more as a producer, backing all 3 Austin Powers films and turning a quiet role into a significant financial foothold. But one of the defining chapters in her wealth came from a personal turning point. In her divorce from Bruce Willis, Demi received $90 million in cash and real estate, a settlement that strengthened her long-term financial position and allowed her to make decisions on her own terms. Real estate soon became one of her most powerful tools. She and Willis had purchased a $7 million penthouse in the San Remo and a second unit soon after. Demi later sold the combined property for $45 million, locking in one of the most notable real estate exits in celebrity circles. Across the years, additional investments followed. A Beverly Hills mansion bought for $3.15 million, multiple properties in Haley, Idaho, and land that grew quietly in value while her career moved through different eras. Her income didn't fade with time. After a brief pause in the early 2000s, she returned with roles in Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle, Bobby, Margin Call, and a new generation of television work, including Empire and Brave New World. In 2024, she took on The Substance, and in 2025, she won the Golden Globe for Best Actress, a reminder that her career still carries prestige and earning power. Demi Moore's financial legacy isn't just about large checks. It's about the durability of a career that expanded beyond acting and into producing, property, and long-term value. Her wealth reflects not noise, but strategy, built quietly, steadily, and always with an eye toward independence. Through decades of bold roles, sharp decisions, and a steady rise in property value, her fortune has become less a symbol of fame than a record of resilience. Each chapter marked a new way of standing on her own, financially, personally, and with a clarity shaped over time. She built a fortune through power, strategy, and decades of work. But the way she gives it away reveals something entirely different. Philanthropy. Demi Moore's philanthropy has never chased attention, but the scale of her giving tells its own story. Over the years, she has supported major global organizations, donating an estimated $250,000 to the American Foundation for AIDS Research, $150,000 to UNICEF initiatives for children, and contributing more than $200,000 collectively to groups like Healthy Child, Healthy World, and the Coalition to Abolish Slavery and Trafficking. Her commitment has been consistent, quiet, and deeply personal. In 2009, Demi and Ashton Kutcher co-founded the DNA Foundation, later known as Thorn, investing an initial $1 million of their own funds to launch the organization's first programs against child sexual slavery. The foundation would later grow into a major force in technology-driven anti-trafficking work, but its earliest traction came from the resources she put in directly: money, time, and public influence. Her efforts expanded again in 2010 when she joined the CNN Freedom Project, traveling to Nepal to meet Anuradha Koirala and support Mighty Nepal. During her visit, Moore donated roughly $100,000 to fund rescue, shelter, and education programs for girls saved from trafficking. She later narrated the 2011 documentary Nepal's Stolen Children, lending her voice without compensation, turning the film into a global awareness tool valued far beyond its production cost. Throughout the 2010s, Moore continued to give quietly. She supported anti-trafficking groups in the U.S. with an estimated $300,000 in grants over the decade, and participated in fundraising events that generated more than $1 million for survivor services and prevention programs. In 2018, her long-standing advocacy earned her the Visionary Woman Award, recognizing nearly a decade of financial and on-the-ground involvement in the fight against human exploitation. For Demi, philanthropy has never been a performance. It has been a steady investment, millions of dollars over many years, directed toward protecting children, empowering women, and amplifying voices that the world too often overlooks. Across continents, shelters, and years of quiet advocacy, her giving has grown into a legacy built on action rather than applause. It reflects a woman who chooses to stand where it matters, offering resources, time, and compassion with a resolve shaped by empathy and lived experience. Beyond her quiet giving lies the life she's shaped for herself. Steady, grounded, and deeply personal. Personal life. These days, Demi Moore lives at a quieter rhythm than the Hollywood chapters that once defined her. Much of her life unfolds between Idaho and Los Angeles, moving gently between work, family, and the small rituals that keep her grounded. On social media, she often appears barefoot in her mountain home, dogs circling at her feet, or sitting in morning light beside the tall windows that overlook the river. It's a softer world, one shaped by healing, companionship, and a desire to live without urgency. Her closest circle remains her 3 daughters, Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah. They appear together in photos with an ease that has come only after years of growth and repair, laughing in the kitchen, celebrating holidays, or simply gathering in matching pajamas, a family that has learned how to hold one another gently. Demi's bond with her first grandchild, Luetta, has added an even quieter joy. She often shares the small, bright moments of early motherhood that she now experiences as a grandmother. Her days move through simple routines, long walks with her dogs, strength training and Pilates to keep her body steady, and an eating style built around whole foods, vegetables, broths, fruit, and herbal teas that show up frequently in her posts. She has become deeply intentional about wellness, not in a performative way, but in the way someone chooses calm after years of performing for the world. Work now comes in seasons rather than cycles. She still travels for film promotions, most recently for The Substance, which brought her back into the spotlight with a Golden Globe win in 2025. But even during premieres and fashion events, Demi carries the same quiet energy, soft smiles, understated couture, often accompanied by one of her daughters. She's a familiar presence at Dior shows, at charity functions for women and children, and at art events that support young creators. Her Idaho estate remains her anchor. It's where she reads scripts by the fireplace, tends to small corners of the house, or sits wrapped in a blanket on the terrace as the mountains fade into dusk. Friends visit often. She cooks simple meals, opens bottles from her small wine collection, and ends the night telling stories with the ease of someone who has nothing left to prove. In that calm, she has rebuilt a life that feels entirely her own, steady, private, and deeply rooted in the people who matter most. In the quiet rhythm of her days, between family, nature, and a career she now moves through on her own terms, Demi Moore has built a life shaped not by fame, but by clarity. It's a gentler chapter, earned through resilience, shaped by intention, and lived with the steady peace she worked so long to deserve. If you enjoy seeing the human stories behind icons like Demi Moore, feel free to like and subscribe. Many more lives, homes, and quiet transformations are waiting for you in the next videos.